pranked.
All I'm gonna say is if this episode doesn't get the most views, I'm gonna be upset.
We could be upset at Jet.
I'm counting on you,
Why are you
Camp.
upset at me?
I'm counting on you,
You're the
Camp
producer
Friends,
or
to watch
something.
this one. Camp Friends, if you're watching, go to YouTube, watch this video.
Unsubscribe.
No.
Oh wait, can
Hold
you
up.
pass me that?
Yes.
Dodger's
put it
trying
on the
to
camera?
talk.
Camp
that was
Friends.
trying to be on.
When this gets posted, go to YouTube, watch the video because that counts as a view. Because Garrett and I are in it as well. So if you don't do this, you don't support us, and quite frankly, that's rude. So
Call my Caleb.
www.youtube/jet4
Jet4. It's just
slash
Jet4.
videos.
Yeah.
Just fucking click on the links.
I don't know if my mic's on.
Slash.
Dad, I'm scared. I mean, that's
VH
basically...
is also Anastasia Beverly Hills
Who?
makeup. Dumb.
Who?
Anastasia Beverly
I
Hills.
think it's a place.
It's just makeup.
That
Oh,
sounds
it's makeup.
brand.
that sounds like an
Oh.
AI generated statement.
Wasn't Anastasia the princess?
No, that's
Right?
Anastasia.
Oh.
Or what's the Russian one?
And Anastasia.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anastasia. Right?
Anna.
No, they made the other one.
Talking about
It
the
was
Disney
live
movie?
action.
Yeah, well, live action.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an actual person, but the Disney movie ends much happier than the real life.
No, I'm
Yeah.
talking
Event.
about something else.
The real life event ends with them getting shot and bayoneted in a basement in fucking Siberia. So
I like that. Delete that.
Podcast.
are we
number
recording
6.
right now?
Yeah, we're
Oh,
recording.
okay, cool.
Yeah, both sides are recording right now.
All right.
Welcome back to Jet 4. We are on podcast number 6 or 7. I'll figure it out. And it's Ashley's birthday. Happy birthday, Ash.
Thanks.
We were already
I said I'm
drinking,
already
but
feeling
we
it.
were drinking before this, and we're gonna go drink after this.
Yeah.
So we're nice and loose.
I would like to preface, I tried a 20% wine.
That was
I
a
don't
port,
weigh a
you
lot.
said.
That's a lot of alcohol.
Ashley's like 100 pounds on a day where it's rained outside, and she didn't have her umbrella. So
Really? Never mind.
So, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen y'all.
Yeah.
If you guys want to give like a little introduction, we'll start with Caleb. And we'll just go down the
damn
line.
it. Hello, YouTube. Or Instagram, wherever you're watching this.
Hi,
TikTok.
viewers.
Maybe-
TikTok.
Am I gonna be on the TikTok?
Possibly, yeah.
I don't tick
More than
the
likely.
talk usually, but I will tick the talk this time. So
Local adult man speaks youth.
use. Yeah. So my name's Caleb Parks. I work for the city of LaGrange. I work for the Main Street program, which deals with historic downtown. So I wear a lot of hats. I advise building owners on historic building codes. I try to do like new business startups and encouraging those people on best practices. We do grant incentive programs to try and help assist in their transition from going from. My dog is interrupting. I run grant incentive programs. The idea is that we'll give you some money to help ease your transition from being what you could, I guess, you could call a hobby business to being a full-time business to being your primary method of income. Generally, we try to keep downtown vibrant and thriving. So we do a lot of work with business owners, people who have an idea, and assisting them in taking it from an idea, from a passion, to a business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Garrett?
Hi, my name is Garrett. I'm a silversmith. I make jewelry. We mostly do hammered silver. Our main inspiration is Navajo culture. I own like 30-something rings, but I don't really wear them as much anymore because my fingers got fat and I haven't resized them all. I think Ashley has a few pieces that I've made. There it is.
Not the
Yes.
Apple Watch. The
No,
cuff.
I
It's
didn't
a
make that.
Fitbit. I'm not that rich.
Yeah. And like, for instance, that there is a completely custom piece. It's got coordinates stamped onto the silver there, and it's got a 14 karat gold dots that are soldered on there. And this is something that I did, and I'm like, yay. And then I gave it to Caleb, and then Caleb gave it to Ashley, and I'm going to give it back to Ashley.
I walked in trying to get a cuff,
And
and the lady at the front upsold me on the gold studs.
yes.
I didn't realize what I was getting myself into.
I like it.
Oh, well, that's good.
I think it looks good.
Wow. It's nice and shiny, too. Mine's all dull.
See those gold
And
studs too.
I'm gonna polish them.
yeah. I've been working there for maybe about 5-ish years now. And I recently got transitioned over to the Round Top store, and I'm kind of the only silversmith out there, so that's kind of like my little area. And I'll make a few pieces every so often, and that are just of my own designs. And if they sell well, they sell well, and sometimes they don't. So it's really up in the air. And I try to make pieces for like high school sweethearts, because whenever I would go into this jewelry store, I couldn't get anything because I was poor, and now I'm trying to make stuff that is in like a high schooler's budget or something.
Trying to
'Cause
make you're trying to make it
get
more
them while they're
accessible.
young. Yeah.
More affordable.
And then that's my week job, and then on the weekend I make wine now. Yes.
What?
I work out at Blue Mule.
Give it a nice plug. There
Oh,
you go.
hey.
Yeah, I work at Blue Mule. We are a small family-owned business. There's only about 4 people that work there.
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
So if I was trying to Google this place, what should I Google?
You should Google Blue Mule Wines. I think we own that domain. I don't remember. Anyways,
It'll bring it up. It's
Blue
listed as
Mule,
a
Texas?
it's a Fayetteville address. If you
Yes.
Google Blue Mule Wines, it'll bring it up. Great family.
Yes.
Great people. Great wines.
We have like 17 different wines. We grow 2 different types of grapes. And then all the other grapes that we can't get, we get them shipped in from other parts of Texas and California. And then we ferment, bottle, and label everything in-house. And like Saturday, we had 5 tons of grapes. So we had 5 tons of grapes come in, and we crushed them all. And right now they're fermenting. And then like a month ago, we bottled 130 cases of our Sangiovese, which was about 320 gallons. And that's, what did I say? 132 cases times 12. That's how many individual bottles we did in a single day of just one type of wine. So we do a lot with a really, really small team.
I'm trying to do the math in my head for
I
some
know,
reason. I don't think
it
it's
was
gonna
like-
work.
it was like 2,000
over like
something.
14. Oh, never mind.
Almost. I mean, that's why I'm not an accountant. I can't count higher than like 5. So
You gotta know what your role is in any given scenario.
I know wine and I know silver, and that's about it. I'm a really good person to know because I'm really good at giving gifts, because it's either wine or jewelry. But other than that, that's it. I don't do much.
Wow, that's incredible. So I have 2 different backgrounds. We've all been friends for a couple of years now, though. I actually didn't know that's exactly what you did at the
Yeah,
office.
well, so a lot of people. So I do a lot of Facebook Lives because the algorithm on Facebook really likes those.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of events in downtown because an easy way to get people into stores is to do a big event in downtown. So a lot of people just think of me as an event planner, which is fair because if you were looking from a distance and didn't like know what my day to day was,
Yeah.
like those are the most visible things I do. So a lot of people think I'm just like the event guy or like the Facebook Live guy, which I don't blame them.
LaGrange.
But a lot of people also don't realize the stuff I do is done by LaGrange Main Street. They think it's done by like the Chamber of Commerce or by like Fayette County Tourism, which both, do work in their own right. But I do feel kind of like I'm like, no. I put a lot of work in these events. It's done by LaGrange Main Street. So I'm always happy to educate. I've got like my description of what I do like pretty well memorized, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah.
So
You came out like confident about that. Like, this is exactly what I do, and this is LaGrange Main Street.
yeah, once I accepted that I was going first, I was like, all right, cool. Let me just dip it. Let me just reach in my back pocket, pull out what I know. That's, if you can hear him, that's my dog Dodger. He's needy.
Dodgy.
He's groaning because he's not getting touched, and I'm like, same, yeah. I know, right? There he is.
Okay, so, I mean, I knew y'all from way back when. Is this where y'all expected to be at this point in your life?
No.
Within your careers and
No.
where you are?
That's a
hard no.
yeah. It's a hard no. It's also kind of like I was that kid growing up when you asked like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like I was never able to give you a good answer to that question. And I used to think that I was weird. Like I was in like the anomaly situation for that, but
Sure.
You got scared of the
I'll restart
wire?
that.
Yeah.
Dodger, why don't you go in the other room, buddy?
Oh,
Lay down somewhere, friend.
So I'll restart that for editing purposes. Yeah. So yeah, it's a hard no because yeah, when I was growing up, I was in high school, and people would be like, "Oh, what do you want to do whenever you graduate?" I didn't know the answer to that question, and I used to think that I was like in the minority in that regard. Most people knew kind of what they wanted to do.
yeah.
And I guess that's fair. Maybe a lot of people do know, but I've met an increasing number of people who are like, "Oh yeah, I just, I happened to end up in this industry. I didn't intend to end up there." And so that makes me feel a little like it's kind of affirming to hear that sometimes because I went to school and got a history degree because that's what I was good at in college. That's what I was good at in high school, and so I did it in college because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy to turn that degree necessarily into like something with a like actual career path. And then I worked in ministry for a little bit. Liked that job. I liked working with kids, but I was always kind of like, I don't know where the career is in this because I don't want to be a pastor. That's not really for me. And I pretty well figured out that it was time for something new. And so I called up my boss from a summer internship I had. And really I didn't even call. I sent her an email, and I was just kind of like, hey, if anything comes up, let me know. I'm looking to get into like the public sector and stuff and working in that field. And so, anything I can do that helps me learn that stuff, I want to do it. And so she called me the next day and was like, hey, let's come in and we'll talk about the Main Street program. And I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. And I was already a little familiar with what happened because of that internship, but now it's I'm like the primary person. So you have to know not just how to talk to the public, but also how to like advocate for your programs, how to take an idea and take it through the process of planning it out and bringing it to fruition. And you learn a lot of things along the way. Like I work with a lot of people about like, this is their business idea and they want to make it a reality. I'm not a business person. Like I have no formal background in that. And I always preface my conversations with that. And I'm just like, look, I'm not Mr. Business here. But I know some common sense things about it, and I know the area pretty well because I did go to high school here. And so, if your business idea is just solely like, oh, I want to do like a wholesale boutique or something like that for just antiques, I'm kind of like, well, you might be better off heading down like 159. That seems to be more the antique area. LaGrange proper is not like these are pretty like solid like rural folks who have lived here their whole lives. They're not necessarily looking for what you're selling if you were to set up here, but if you set up over here, you might have better success. So it's just kind of things I know from my own experience of growing up, mixed with just attempts to learn more. Never pass up an opportunity to like go to something and like learn something you didn't know, or get some kind of training you didn't have, because you can't sit here and act like, oh, I know every single thing about this particular thing. That like it's just kind of like it's too much. You got to remove ego from the equation of it all.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
And so did you go into your first day at the office like with confidence, or were you like, I don't know anything?
Well, yeah. So my boss, who no longer works for the city of LaGrange, and I owe a lot of my own professional development to her. My boss has this funny way of like your first day just dumping all of this stuff on you, and then being like, oh yeah, also like I'm not gonna like micromanage you. So you have a month, and we'll check back in, see how we're doing. But let me know what you've done in the meantime.
Oh wow.
So, and I'd worked for her before, and I was like, that first day, I remember going like, "Oh, that's right. This is what working for Stacy's like." But, you know, you kind of get used to it. You have to be good at self-starting and self-motivating, which, as someone with ADD, like that's been a lifelong battle for me sometimes.
Right.
But you get the hang of it. Like half of my job is just having relationships with people. Fostering those relationships, checking in, you know, stopping by their stores, being like, "Oh, hey, you know, is this person around?" And then checking in, see how things are going, like how's business,
how things are going,
what can we do to help. You know, I'm gonna do whatever's within my power to try and assist with whatever I can. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, interesting. I'm sorry. Dodger's like right next to me, so I've just been.
He's growling, and I'm like, stop. I'm trying to be that mom that's like, stop it.
Garrett, I kind of want to give you your own space too, because you haven't lived in LaGrange your whole life, right?
No, I have not.
And so, did you expect to be here whenever you came out of high school, or what was?
Oh,
Yeah.
out of high school was a different time altogether. Oh man. I mean, what I'm doing ain't too unexpected, I guess, for like the person that I am. Because I mean, like, I was always interested in like jewelry, so I found an inn and I started making jewelry, and I've been the same way with wine. Like I was like, I'm interested in wine, and now I'm not too good at. Well, I'm good at working the bar, but I'm even better in the back, like behind the scenes, like moving the grapes.
The production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the question? No, did I see myself being here? No. Because originally my plan was to go to college to get a kinesiology degree so I could work at the camp that we all met at.
Yes.
Yeah. But throughout, I think I got like a year into college, and then I was like, I'm not having fun with any of this. And like college grades and high school grades for me were completely different things.
Yeah.
And like in like high school, I think my senior year, like the lowest grade I ever got was like an 86 or something. And then in college, my first semester, I failed out of algebra. I failed out of like English. I failed out of all this stuff. And then my second semester, I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. But the college just wasn't for me, but I'm glad that I tried. But I didn't really see myself doing very much anything. I was just very much spinning my wheels. So I contacted a friend of ours, Curtis. Shout out to Curtis, old Donald.
Hope you're watching this, Curtis.
Yeah.
Hope you're supporting
Shout
the
out.
pod, Curtis.
Support your friends, dude. I mean, what the heck? Can we curse?
Yeah. Wait. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't put like child safety locks on these. I don't think.
I was just gonna go on a tirade and
We're a minute into the YouTube video, so we're not going to demonetize
okay,
it. Yeah,
gotcha.
we're good.
It's
Yeah,
only been
yeah,
a minute. Shit. I mean, shoot. Anyways, shout out to Donald. He used to work at a camp in California, and he still had a lot of contacts there. So I quit college. I don't even think they contact me anymore or even notice that I left. But I moved to California like at like 18, and I just completely started my life over there. And I lived in like Santa Cruz area of California, so like right in the middle. And I ate apples from the trees on site, and I walked to the grocery store and I got ramen, and that was my meals. and that's how I started my adult life, is in a tiny little 9-foot by 9-foot room. And then eventually that camp it didn't run out of money, but they couldn't rationalize keeping on as many program staff as they were having. So I kind of did get laid off. But then through that, I went back to Luther Hill, the place we all met. And I worked there for a bit. And I was working in the office. And then that's whenever I realized I don't really like office work. Because I didn't know what to do with myself half the time. Because I would do everything. And I'm like, okay, now what? And they're like, do more. I'm like, there is no more. I've done it all. So then
That checks out.
yeah. So then, like, after that, I was like, yeah, I like being outdoors. So I hung out there for a little bit longer, and then that job became part-time. And then during that is whenever I started doing jewelry part-time as well to help, like, make ends meet and pay bills.
Or not.
Yes. Little did I know those would be the cheapest bills that I would have to worry about in my life, and they're only getting worse.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then I've been making jewelry, and I've been on full time, and I opened up like a retirement account with them, and like we're doing all this stuff, and then like I started making wine, maybe back in April of this year,
Yeah.
Well, I feel
or no, maybe
Not-
it was sooner.
I don't want to interrupt your space, but like
I don't know.
I
what
feel like
I'm
it's
talking
also
about.
important mentioning like you didn't like intend to be a full-time jeweler or anything.
Oh,
like
no, not at all.
you were just hammering silver in the back, and you got so much. I remember Richard telling me this. Like,
yeah.
they're like, we can't give him enough work to keep him busy. Like he just like he works like too fast.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of still something that I guess is saved over today. Like they'll give me a lot of
To say that like ASMR.
what the fuck?
And then I remember talking to it was like because I remember hearing that from Richard
Yeah.
Schmitz, and you ended up going full time with that, and then you picked up working at Blue Mule.
Yeah,
And I remember talking to like Ashley and Cooper,
yeah,
and they were like, "Yeah, he just like he shows up and he gets so much done. Like we have to keep giving him stuff. Like,
oh,
so I feel like
Makes
it's
me
worth
feel good.
mentioning. Like you also like just like busted it to
Yeah.
like prove to them it's like, oh yeah, I'm capable of like being given more responsibility and all this.
here's my secret. And I'm willing to share it with all my good close friends.
Ooh.
I don't know what to do with myself outside of work, so I'm just like, might as well put all my energy into work, and then I'll do that. I'm like, whenever I get home, I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with myself.
Time to work more.
Yeah, so I'll start working on my car. Or like
Time to go drink margis.
that's
Oh.
true. Yes,
Is it? No.
Well, no,
Almost.
We've got like 10 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
not quite yet. But yeah, I mean, well, thanks. That's nice to hear. And then Michael, my boss out of Blue Mule, he's like a really soft-spoken Cajun guy.
Mhm.
And like soft-spoken meaning he literally like speaks softly, like his voice isn't all that loud, which was something that was funny getting used to and like learning how Michael works. And I feel like a second pair of arms for him because we can communicate like non-verbally at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's just me and him in the back, and like we'll get something ready to go without either of us saying anything to each other, and I'll always remember what he's lost. Like he'll lose like a little button that we're using for a pump, and he's like, "Where's the button?" I'm like, "It's right there," and he's like, "There it is."
It's all about making yourself valuable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's my what is it? It's like people that have a praise kink. You'll give them like a little like star sticker.
Yeah.
I wish that they did that with me.
What is
No?
what is the word that you were thinking there? I'm.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
the one.
okay.
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
praise kink. Where's that coming from? Interesting.
You want to know?
Nope. I'm good.
We'll save that for podcast after dark.
Jet 4 After Dark.
Oh, no, I don't know about that.
We just
one.
turn off the lights and we do it in the dark.
Start interviewing everyone from OnlyFans.
Hey, whatever your hustle is, just be good at it. That's always the lesson I've known is
That's true.
doesn't matter what you do, just whatever you want to be, try to be a good one.
Just try to be a good one.
Yeah.
And love what you do. That's what I always say.
Even if you don't necessarily, I don't know, like sometimes you just got to work a job because you need a job, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've been there before.
Mhm.
But like whatever it is I'm putting my time and effort into, like I at least want to be proud of it, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like put in like a half effort because it's like, oh, I don't like, I'm checked out mentally. Like, no, like, even if it's just something to pay bills, like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the like best at this I can possibly be.
I want to be the best street performer I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the best toll booth worker I possibly
Yeah.
can. You know, like,
Why do we turn into work simps? Is this what adult life is?
it's
You
not
just-
it's not work sense, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No.
you should definitely have your own
Work
life and
sense.
everything outside of it, but I think it's important to like take pride in what you do. You know,
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then get good enough until you can get to the next thing.
Yeah.
And to the next thing.
Dodger.
Oddly enough, I feel like things just kind of fall into place sometimes
Yeah.
where you get really good at doing something, you make the right connections to get to the next place that you were going to be.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I think it's.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also important
Been there.
to recognize, like, as someone who was like a meandering person for a while in his life, and
Yeah.
then like, I like, so it gets in this term I hate, but it's like real jobs and like not real jobs, right? And you like usually it's like using the context of your parents are like, oh, you're doing this thing that you love. When are you getting a real job? Yeah, and so like as someone who ended up in a real job, like I have, like I work for the city of LaGrange, like, and that
Right.
it's not like a it's not like a super like creative kind of job necessarily,
Right.
but it is a job that like you can find passion in, but like it's all about working,
okay, it's not that bad.
and like every job you have is essentially your like audition for whatever your next job is.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
So
I like that you treat your job as an audition for the next, I
Mhm.
guess, next thing that you're going to do until
Yeah.
you want to get to the career that you need to be.
Especially in a small town,
Yeah.
people talk.
yeah,
There's not a lot of quarters.
Yes. Like there's been times where like I'll see someone at the grocery store and they'll be like, "You're the new wine dude," and I am. Who are you?
yeah, you're the Facebook guy.
Yeah.
Well, it's like because so LaGrange is like a town of like maybe 4,000 something people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Ashley's graduating high school, like her graduating high school class is like 1,000. So if you put that over 4 grades,
Oh yeah.
Correction. 1,132.
yeah. So if you expand that like out
how
over
did you
4
know that?
grades, Ashley's high
I
school
had that
was.
shit memorized.
If you expand that out over 4 grades, Ashley's high school was like bigger than this town that we live in.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
So like think about how high school is sometimes, how like word gets around about the kind of
Oh.
person you are. And that's kind of like what living in a small town is like. Like you have a reputation whether you want one or not. So hopefully it's a good reputation.
Yeah. He's just
Can you
baby.
open his kennel? Dodger, go night.
It's like,
Go night. Dodger Parks.
Ooh. He's
Like
hiding
that.
behind
Dodger's
me,
in
so you know
trouble.
it's bad. Those of you that don't
He's
know,
under
and I
the
don't know if
table
it's
now.
getting cut, a Dodger hates me. Anytime he
He
sees
does not
me,
hate you.
he
just
really doesn't like
He doesn't
me.
hate you. He just doesn't trust you.
Yet.
He got trust issues like his mom.
Oh. Well, he's so upset with his mom right now. He's at my feet, so that makes me feel a little better.
Be quiet.
Also, another funny story about Dodger. Cut that too.
All right.
Dodger, whenever he's at the retreat, he'll take any blanket that he has and he'll put it in his water bowl,
Oh, really?
just out of anger or frustration or something. And then they
He doesn't do this at home, by the way.
no,
It's
it's
his
not at all.
It's a protest.
Oh.
And like they started like not leaving any of his toys or like any blankets in there. He just has one big bed, and his bed will be like just like halfway into the water bowl. Like he's so frustrated, and it's too big and he can't move it enough. So
Because he's
It's
on
so
it.
sad.
He weighs like 50 pounds.
You dunk boy.
he's looking better though.
For those of y'all who have heard his like barks and growls throughout this, like he sounds like a big scary dog. He's a corgi healer mix. Like he's the least
He is-
scary dog in the world.
He is short and stout, and I
Yeah.
miss him.
Rotund.
Like you look at him and you think like, oh, look at this goofy looking little dog. Like
The one time that I pet him, he was very nice to pet. Can confirm.
Okay, just to wrap around so that everyone knows, we all met at a camp about
2014.
2014. That's
Oh.
that's
I
right
guess
around
that's the first
8 years
summer that
ago.
we all worked together. Yeah.
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 We were all interns.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
gosh.
was a steely veteran by then. That was my third summer.
That was your
veterans.
second summer.
No, because I was 2012, 2013, 2014,
Oh wow.
2015. 4 summers.
Nerd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of.
I don't remember the summers I worked. Those
I-
were long hot summers. I think
I stayed up too long.
I think working on top of the ropes tower fried my brain with all
Yeah.
the heat up there. What all the jobs did you do out there? You were
I was an intern
uh
back when we used to be called interns. They're not called that
Yeah.
anymore because it used to be like a rank checking kind of thing. You'd be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, suck it up,
Yeah.
intern. Yeah.
I didn't
But-
mind that a build character.
So I was an intern. Then I was a counselor. Then I was a counselor again. And then my last summer I was Lyle coordinator. So I was in charge of all the high school kids, and it's like the most fun job, but also maybe one of the more exhausting ones.
Yeah.
So unbiased opinion. Obviously, I've never worked a different job other than counselor, but Lyle was a pretty fun job.
Yeah. Wait, what are they called now? Are they called program staff?
Oh yeah.
The
Interns are program
interns?
staff
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say it's still called Lyle. It hasn't
Oh, no,
changed
no.
yet.
Yeah, they switched it up. What did you do out there, Ashel?
That sounded like asshole. Thank you.
No.
No, I'm just messing with you.
Happy
My
birthday.
first summer was. I was never an intern.
You're 18.
Well, because I came in and I was the same age as y'all, but I'd never been to Luther Hill before.
Yeah.
So I was a camp hand. And then my second summer, I think I was a camp hand again because I came in halfway through. And then 2016, I was store. And then 2018, I was program specialist, aka everything under the sun.
Is there a job that needs to be taken care of? Program
Yeah.
specialist.
Yeah.
Go get donuts. Go pick up coffee.
I was supposed to do like marketing stuff, but then it ended up being to like day camp, and then the registrar left, and then I did that too,
I remember that summer.
and then I helped with media that same summer.
Yeah. Jet, what were your jobs at Luther
Yeah,
Hill?
Jet, what did you do at Luther Hill?
We're podcasting you now.
Yeah.
I know y'all start asking the questions now. Oh my gosh. Wait, let's go to Garrett and then I'll
shoot.
end it.
Okay.
I was trying to remember everything I did out there.
Well, intern first.
Obviously.
Yeah, like most lifers, like
like
most Luther Hill
some
lifers.
people.
Lifers.
Lifers.
You
Christ.
just started going there for your internship because Matt said they had girls.
Yeah.
And these two are married and they met out there. So,
I
it
mean,
wasn't
well,
wrong.
He got a good enough deal.
I guess.
It wasn't a bad sales pitch. It was delivered upon at the end, ultimately.
Well done.
It's not right away, like he said.
I had to wait like 4 years.
Oh, well. What did I do out there? I was an intern, and then I was my summers were weird out there because like I was an intern for like half the summer. Then the other half of the summer I was shadowing the arts and crafts coordinator. So I started Caroline.
Caroline
Oh,
Cooper.
Caroline.
Hope you're watching the pod, Caroline
Oh my
Cooper. You should
gosh.
support Jet's podcast by
I know.
watching this.
Hello.
Hello.
haven't talked to you in a couple of years, but hope you're watching.
And then after that summer, I did arts and crafts again, but like full time. And like before this, arts and crafts was kind of like a pastime thing for people, but I was like, I'm gonna make it fun. And I think I did make it fun because everyone had a good time, and everyone said I did great. So I was like, sweet. And then after that, I was the
Had a
out
good
camp coordinator. And then for 2 summers in a row after that, I think I was the ropes coordinator of the whole ropes area that we have out there. And then the summer after that, I was the activities director.
And that was your last summer.
And that was my last summer.
Needless to say, Garrett worked there longer than the rest of us.
I did,
Yeah.
and I worked, and I did almost every job. So whenever I was activities director, I was like, okay, I know my team, and I know what they're gonna go through, but I'm still gonna cry a lot. But it was fine. It was a good summer. I don't want to talk about night owls though.
Oh my, that was
Night
Night
owl.
owls,
that
on
was
the other
so
hand,
different.
Night
Especially
owl.
the emerging of that program was just.
we could do a whole
nightmare.
I don't think
podcast.
they do
I'm
anymore.
just.
We could do a whole
Oh, they
pod.
don't.
I don't think so.
We could do a whole podcast on just like camp stories. I feel like over like our collective years while working at camp.
That should be next time whenever we're not so pressed for
Yeah,
time.
pressed for time. Caleb has such a good like I don't know charisma for talking. I feel like
Yeah.
you should start a
Oh well, I
podcast
mean, I
too.
work in the public, so
That's true.
a lot of times I have to like already talk in front of people or like talk to people I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like I've had a lot of practice is really all it is. Like, I wouldn't say it's like a God-given talent. It's just something I've developed over time.
You also took UIL.
Oh yeah, I was
Public
in UIL academics like extemp speaking. So
Extemp speaking?
yeah.
Whoa. Like,
This
is that like debate or is
Yeah,
that,
so not exactly. A lot of people double up. I didn't.
Okay.
This is going to be like a little aside for the pod. Yeah, so extemp speaking is like you sit in basically, so you're either informative or persuasive.
Mhm.
So I was an informative speaker because I didn't want to have an argument I had to make. I didn't want to be judged on how effective my argument was. I just wanted to give you the details.
Right.
So what it is you sit in a room and there's an order you go in. So you're like 1 through 6, for example.
Right.
And it's staggered. So every like 5 minutes they call like, okay, number 1, come on down. And you open this envelope full of topics that are in the news, like current events topics. And you draw 5 and you get to pick 1. You have to go back and give a speech on that topic.
Oh.
You have 30 minutes to prepare a speech and you have to go give it to a judge.
Oh.
And so
Interesting. It's like
my
sight
mom
reading.
was the coach for it.
Yeah.
My stepmom, I call her my mom because she's like by rights, she's earned the title the most of anyone.
Yeah.
But my mom was the coach of it. And so as a freshman in high school, I was not, I had to do it at least once, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to be any good at it. And I would just go in there. I wouldn't study at all. So I would just kind of like BS a bunch of stuff. But like that's enough to like be decent if you can just sound like you know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
So
That's what I've been doing this whole time.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I feel like that's what most people
that's
do.
50% of any conversation,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
acting like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so I would like, my whole freshman year, I would just BS a bunch of like speeches, and like it would do well enough to where my mom was like, "You have to like keep doing this." So like I've had a lot of practice in like talking and getting comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Now, how much I'm BSing is up for you to determine, right? I'm not going to give away any secrets here, but
So maybe he's lying. I can't tell.
No, that's really incredible. Though. I didn't know that.
yeah, I mean, so
I feel like
In
you
a
should
way-
have been like the host for BWE.
well, I've been wanting
Really
I've been
nice.
wanting to do a podcast for a long, but it's like a very niche podcast.
Oh, okay.
My friend Blake hasn't agreed to it yet, but it's a Survivor podcast. 'Cause I've become a fan of Survivor over since COVID started, basically.
Yeah.
And it's a fun show to watch. I'd love to be on the show one day. And so my friend Blake is like, he's watched every season since the show started. Like he's the biggest
Oh.
fan I know. Me, I'm a newbie, relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to do a podcast with them where like we watch each season from like start to like season 1 and like until we catch up with current seasons. And like we sit down and we like spend an episode talking about each season, and it's like through the eyes of both a longtime fan and through a new time fan.
Yeah.
Just like who are the people that stood out the most, like favorite moments, overall review and opinion of the season and stuff. But
Oh,
I have
interesting.
no idea like for what kind of equipment you need for that type of
Yeah.
thing. So this has been an
I
informative
mean,
like
you
setup.
learn from this. That'd be awesome. I can't wait to listen to that podcast.
If
That'd
it
be
ever
awesome.
happens.
Okay, just to wrap around, I know we're pressed for time right now. I worked at the camp as an intern, and then for the first half of that summer, I was shadowing counselors, and the second half of that summer, I became media, which then became my job for the next 3 to 4 years.
Well, and like media is not just like taking pictures and upload. It's like a whole creative director position, I feel like.
Yeah, there's a whole like other realm to it other than like council. Like we had to follow our own schedule to make sure we were like there on time, and we were presenting photos to everyone that was online and whoever else was picking up photos.
Mm-hmm.
So we had our own schedule to do all that stuff. I called myself the media manager for the first 2 years, and then that third year, I think we were trying to decide on a name or a role, and I just took Matt's
creative director?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He just told me, he was like, I was the creative director for my year. I was like, then I'll be creative director this year.
Yep.
I remember one of the most impressive things about the media job is you would have like 1,000 photos in a single day, and of those 1,000 photos, you would select enough to go into a whole show that happened the next morning.
Yeah.
And like you had to like cut and edit all the stuff and like do all these photoshops and stuff. And I remember sitting in there with y'all, and y'all were just like, this is bad and fun. But you had to like consolidate an entire day's worth of photography and condense it down into a 15-minute show that's engaging and high energy. And you had to do that every single day for the week. And then after all that, you had to condense all of the week's pictures into a single DVD to then sell that Friday.
Back when we had
Single
DVD.
review.
Yeah. It's like back when we had DVDs.
But it was a huge turnaround, and I couldn't not have done it.
Yeah, I think the secret was they just didn't sleep.
That's
No,
true.
we didn't. That's why I forgot most of my summers because I
We-
did not sleep half the time.
Yeah, me and Jet shared a room, and I don't think we saw each other once in the room.
Nope. Nope. I would go in, I'm like, oh, he's asleep. And then I'd wake up, he's like, oh, he's still asleep. And I'd leave. So he'd never see me ever again.
Yeah,
that's how it
But
was.
I mean, that camp helped me become a photographer. And I used the photography skills I learned from camp or what I learned from myself to do it on the side, like throughout the year. And then I would come back for the summer and then continue to learn or continue to experiment. And then I would have never expected that those skills would carry on to my actual career now, which is just a freelance photographer.
Well, I was gonna say it's really cool because you've got all these like different creative pursuits going on, and like that's the thing I really like respect like the most about you is it's just like you have like something you want to pursue and you just like go after it, which is like crazy because in my brain I'm like, oh, I'd have way too many like things I'd be worrying about, like I'd be a mess all the time.
Yeah.
Uh,
I am a mess all the time. Oh my gosh.
but like it's cool because it's like we've watched your like using a big word here, like we've watched your like matriculation from like
That is a big word.
like from when you initially showed up
Define.
Yeah.
like
Definition.
we've watched your evolution, right? Like
Right.
we've watched you go from like the like because we've always like we initially knew Jet as like Little Jet because his older brother is also named Jet.
Right.
And he
That's
was
a whole
it's
other
because he's the
podcast.
older brother. Like it was like that's Big Jet, that's Little Jet.
Yeah.
And so you went from like Little Jet, who was out there like just taking pictures and stuff, and like giving
man.
them to like was it like Matt and Marika at that time?
Yeah.
Oh,
And you like went from that to the person.
Oh no.
You went from that to like the person like developing all the creative like pursuits for camp. And you like made it your own thing. You didn't just copy what the person before you did.
Right.
And so it's cool to like watch like now we're sitting down at a table talking into microphones for a podcast,
Yeah.
which
for a
has gone
podcast, that's-
completely off the rails at this point.
I mean, it's about the topic's about unexpected things, so whatever,
Yeah,
right?
So like it's been like it's fun to watch that as like just a friend who's like been there for that whole journey.
or like to imagine it like way back in the day, like whenever we first met, do you think that I would be living in the same town as y'all and you're married and
No.
we're doing this?
yeah, no.
Did I was gonna marry him when I first started? No.
And then you would be doing your own thing,
Yeah.
and we would all still be in contact.
Friends.
Just the way
Yay.
life works out, right? Like
That's true.
We passed the 7-year mark like a year ago.
Whoa, we
yeah,
did.
we did.
whoa,
So we're friends forever.
A friend of ours, Lane, shout out Lane if you're watching, she texted me recently and she's like, happy 10-year friendship anniversary. And I was like,
10 years?
I don't even think I've been alive for like 10 years, let alone
have.
knowing someone else for that
Just
long.
factually,
my
you have
age.
been alive
Aw.
longer
Yeah.
than
I
that.
I'm
am.
about 25. Okay, lastly, I know you guys have been in tough spots. I know y'all personally. In those tough spots, though, what was the one thing that you wanted to hear that pushed you forward? Or maybe you did hear it and now you're here.
Garrett, you go first since I started this.
That's gonna be annoying. I always know that tomorrow is gonna be different, you know? Like, and I've made it through all, like, 100% of the bad days that I've had, you know? And I'm still here now. And I've made it through all that bad stuff. And I know that there's a lot of beauty in the world, and I really want to see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, that's kind of all that I've ever really told myself, is that tomorrow is a different day and I can be a better person for that day, you know?
Yeah.
And then if things get really bad, I just run away and move to California again.
No, not again.
No, I don't think I could. Santa Fe is real nice this time of year.
I really
Yeah.
have. I really
Like
have.
Mexico?
Yeah, New Mexico. The newest one.
Then you, yeah.
As opposed to old Mexico.
Do you know where Old Mexico is?
Isn't it just Mexico?
I thought it would
Just
be
the
Spain.
country?
Oh, well, I mean, not exactly.
I don't know, that's complicated.
I'd say
I feel like.
ethnic Mexican people sometimes have a lot of like Mayan heritage and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Like
Anyways,
Native-
that's a different.
Native American.
This is my
Debate in the comments. Is Spain Old Mexico?
my idiot savant brain just kicked in. I apologize.
You're good.
Okay,
about
so
you?
things I've heard when times are tough. I don't know if there's any like one particular thing I can pinpoint. I think just having a good support network is important.
Yeah.
Like having people that you can just, you know, like give them a call and be like, hey, all this sucks right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, man, that really does suck. But I guess going like with what Garrett said, like just things to remember, like when stuff is difficult,
Yeah.
is you have, you know, lived however many days in your life that you have. And every day when you wake up, like kind of what Garrett said, like you do have another day in front of you. You can't necessarily control the cards you're dealt in life, but you can control how you decide to play them.
Yeah.
So when you get bad hands, sometimes you just have to like bluff your way into you know, getting through that hand.
Yeah.
So for me, like, you know, I've dealt with like being an anxious person and stuff before. And, you know, and sometimes you just have to kind of like fake it until you make it. So like I would go to therapy during COVID and stuff and talk about all that. And I'd like have all this stuff going on. And I'd, you know, like set up an appointment and be like, hey, like I got to talk, like got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, okay, well, I can pencil in for like, it'd be like a Monday. And they'd be like, oh, I can get you in on Friday. Okay, yeah, cool. And like Friday would get there and I'd sit down to talk and be like, man, all that stuff I was like anxious about on Monday doesn't seem like that big of a deal anymore.
Yeah.
So not to like discredit like the difficult things you go through, but also to remember that like everything with hindsight, you look back at it and you're like, you know, I survived all that and I'm here and I'm like doing good. I'm alive. I'm healthy.
Yeah.
And that's all you can really ask for, you know.
Yeah.
Again, you can't control the circumstances you end up with in life, but you are in control of how you react to them. So
I love that, actually.
Yeah.
That's really nice. That kind of ties around with what I was going to say. But
Hell yeah.
now for the outro, because I like you kind of took it. So I was like, okay,
oh,
cool.
whoops, sorry.
No, that's totally fine. We are.
What's that dog doing?
He's just
Being annoying.
sitting down. It's
Aw,
okay.
he's baby.
I kind of love it. Thank you all for joining me. We'll have to get together again so that we're not so pressed for time, and we would probably have a longer recording for this.
Yeah, hold on. I want to put Dodger in the shot really quick.
Okay.
So everyone can see.
Oh, he's gonna be so upset.
Dodgy.
Oh,
Come here,
look at him.
Dodgy.
He's pissed.
Thank you for watching the Jet Fort podcast. Join us again next week for another episode with Dodger.
Yeah.
He's not saying anything now.
Pissed.
Oh.
So upset.
Chunk boy.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
y'all for listening. I hope we get the most views of any of the podcast episodes yet.
Competition between everyone else.
All
Yeah.
those other ones were bad. This one's the best.
This is like the weird things I get competitive about.
Time to go drink Margie.
Woo! Happy birthday, Ash!
I was a little tough.
All right, that's it.
All right, there
Cut
we
off
go.
there.